If you have spent your whole life feeling like something is wrong with you, if you have carried a quiet, constant sense that you are different, that you are broken, that you do not belong, that no matter what you achieve or how much you are loved, there is still something fundamentally off about you, I want you to stop everything, put down what you are doing, close the other tabs, silence your phone, take one deep breath, because what I'm about to say may be the most important thing you hear this year. You are not here by accident. I know how the world works. I know about algorithms and screens and endless recommendations. But something deeper brought you to these exact words at this exact moment in your life. Because a part of you that has been suffering in silence for a very long time is finally ready to be heard. And what that part is trying to tell you is this: there's nothing wrong with you. There has never been anything wrong with you. What you have been calling wrongness is something else entirely. And when you finally see what it truly is, everything in your life begins to change. If you feel the truth of what I just said, even faintly, even as a whisper in your chest, it is because you possess a rare psychological frequency. Rare, not because you're better than others. Rare, because most people spend their entire lives running from this feeling. They numb it with alcohol, with achievement, with relationships, with food, with scrolling, with religion, with constant motion. They will do anything, anything at all, rather than sit with the terrifying suspicion that something inside them is fundamentally broken. But you are here, sitting with it, willing to look. And that willingness is the doorway. For 45 years, I've sat across some human beings who carried this exact wound. Doctors who saved lives all day and cried themselves to sleep at night. Mothers who loved their children fiercely and secretly believed they were unlovable. Successful men who had built empires and still felt like frauds. Beautiful women who were adored by everyone and could not look at themselves in the mirror. Artists, teachers, executives, parents, teenagers, elders, different faces, different stories, same silent sentence carved into their soul: something is wrong with me. And after nearly half a century of listening, I can tell you the truth that no one told you when you were small. Nothing is wrong with you. What is wrong is what happened to you. Read that again. Let it land. Nothing is wrong with you. What is wrong is what happened to you. You were not born broken. You were not born flawed. You were not born with a defect in your soul. You were born whole. You were born sensitive. You were born connected. You were born with the full, sacred, radiant capacity to feel, to love, to trust, to belong. And then life happened to that whole, sensitive, connected being. You were born into an environment that could not meet you. Not because your parents were monsters, not because anyone set out to harm you, but because they themselves were carrying wounds they had never healed. They loved you in the ways they knew how, and they wounded you in the ways they did not know how to stop. And a child cannot make sense of that. A child cannot say, my mother is anxious because her mother was anxious. A child cannot say, my father is angry because his father was violent. A child cannot say, my parents are distant because they were raised in a generation that did not know how to feel. A child can only say one thing: something is wrong with me. Because a child cannot survive believing that the people they depend on for life are the source of their pain. So the child does what every intelligent, brilliant, tragic child does. The child turns the pain inward. The child decides, it must be me. If I were better, they would love me more. If I were quieter, they would not get angry. If I were smarter, they would notice me. If I were prettier, thinner, easier, less needy, more helpful, more perfect, then I would finally be enough. And that decision, made when you were 3 or 5 or 7 years old, in a moment you cannot even remember, became the operating system of your entire life. Every relationship you have entered as an adult, every choice you have made, every time you have shrunk yourself, every time you have said yes when you meant no, every time you have accepted crumbs and called it love, every time you have looked in the mirror and felt disgust, every time you have sabotaged something good just as it was about to bloom, all of it, running from that one unconscious sentence carved into your soul when you were too small to defend yourself. Something is wrong with me. Carl Jung understood this. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You have been calling it fate. You have been calling it, this is just who I am. You have been calling it, I always ruin everything. You have been calling it, I am not lovable. You have been calling it depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, insecurity, brokenness. But it was never any of those things. It was a lie, a very old lie. A lie told to you by an environment that could not hold you. A lie you believed because you had no other way to make sense of your pain. And today, if you are willing, that lie ends. Because the work of your lifetime, what Jung called the sacred process of individuation, is not to become someone new. It is to unbecome the lie. To peel back the layers of the false self you built to survive, and to return to the whole, sensitive, radiant being you always were beneath it. That being never went anywhere. That being has been waiting inside you your entire life. That being is not broken. That being is not damaged. That being is not wrong. That being is you, the real you, the you before the wound. If you feel even a tremor of recognition as I say this, if some ancient place in you is stirring, I want you to do something now, something conscious, something symbolic, something that tells your own unconscious that you are finally listening. Go to the comments and type 520. 520 is not a magic number. 520 is a signal, a marker into the frequency field. It is the frequency of return, the frequency of a soul coming home to itself. When you type 520, you are declaring out loud into the invisible field that holds us all, I am no longer willing to believe the lie. I am no longer willing to abandon myself. I am ready to come home. Type 520, let it be witnessed, and then come back to me, because I want to show you the 7 signs that what you have been calling wrongness is actually the beginning of your awakening. Because if you have always felt like something is wrong with you, there are unmistakable signs that this feeling is not a diagnosis, it is a doorway. And once you see the signs for what they truly are, you will never be able to interpret your own suffering the same way again. The first sign is you feel like you're performing your own life instead of living it. You go through the motions, you show up, you smile, you say the right things, you do what is expected, but underneath there is a strange sense that none of it is really you. As if you are watching yourself from a distance, playing a role that someone else wrote. This is not a flaw in your character. This is dissociation. Your nervous system learned very early that being fully present was too painful, so it stepped back. You did not choose to leave yourself, you had to. And the return home begins the moment you stop judging yourself for having left and start gently welcoming yourself back. The second sign is you feel more comfortable being needed than being loved. You know how to be useful. You know how to help. You know how to solve, fix, take care of, hold everyone together. But when someone tries to simply love you without needing anything from you, you feel uncomfortable. You deflect, you minimize, you wait for the catch. Because your unconscious learned that love was conditional. Love had to be earned by performing a function. So you built your entire identity around being the helper, the giver, the strong one. But underneath, there is a small child who never got to just be loved for existing. And that child is aching to be seen. The third sign is you carry a silent shame that has no specific source. You cannot point to what you did wrong. You cannot name what makes you unworthy. But the feeling is there, constant, quiet, like a low hum in the background of your life. Shame that you exist. Shame that you take up space. Shame that you have needs. Shame that you are not more, better, different. This shame is not yours. It was given to you. Every time a caregiver looked at you with disappointment, every time you were criticized for being who you were, every time your natural aliveness was met with disapproval, that shame was planted. It does not belong to you, and you can, in time, hand it back. The fourth sign is you sabotage the good things in your life just as they begin to bloom. The relationship starts going well, and suddenly you find a reason to pull away. The career takes off, and you find a way to undermine it. The friend gets too close, and you disappear. This is not self-destruction. This is your nervous system protecting you from what it perceives as danger. Because as a child, good things were often followed by loss, or by punishment for feeling too happy, too proud, too visible. So your body learned that joy is unsafe. And now, every time joy approaches, an ancient alarm goes off, warning you to retreat before something is taken from you. The fifth sign is you feel like an outsider in every room, even the rooms where you are welcomed. You can be surrounded by people who love you and still feel completely alone. You can be praised, celebrated, included, and still feel like you do not belong. This is not because there is something wrong with you. This is because you learned to belong by performing. And the performing self can never feel truly seen. The real you, the one behind the mask, has been hiding for so long that even in loving company, that real self doubts whether it would be welcomed if it finally showed itself. The sixth sign is your body has been carrying what your mind refused to feel. The chronic tension, the unexplained fatigue, the digestive issues, the autoimmune conditions, the migraines, the insomnia, the heart that races for no reason. Doctors have told you they cannot find anything wrong, but something is wrong. What is wrong is that your body has been storing decades of feelings you were not allowed to have. Every anger swallowed, every tear suppressed, every no that became a yes, every boundary that was crossed in silence. Your body remembers, and now it is asking, gently at first, then more loudly, to finally be heard. The seventh sign is you feel a deep longing to become someone you have never yet been allowed to be. Sometimes in quiet moments, you catch a glimpse of who you could be if you were not so afraid, if you were not so ashamed, if you were not so busy managing everyone else's comfort. You imagine yourself freer, softer, more honest, more alive. And then you push the image away because it feels too dangerous to want. But that image is not fantasy. That image is memory. That is the being you were before the wound. And that being is calling you home. If you recognize yourself in these 7 signs, listen to me carefully. Nothing is wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not damaged. You are not defective. You are a whole human being who was shaped by an environment that could not fully hold you. And now, as an adult, you have the sacred capacity to do what no one could do for you when you were small. You can hold yourself. You can meet the parts of you that were exiled. You can bring them home. You can love them not because they have earned it, but simply because they exist. And now I want to give you the path, not a quick fix, not a formula, but a real step-by-step method to move from the ancient lie into the older truth, from wrongness into wholeness. The first step is to stop asking what is wrong with me and start asking what happened to me. This one question changes everything. When you ask what is wrong with me, you are trapped in shame. There is no answer that heals. But when you ask what happened to me, something shifts. Suddenly you are not the problem. You are a person who lived through things, who adapted to things, who developed strategies to survive things. Compassion enters where shame used to live, and where compassion enters, healing can finally begin. The second step is to speak to yourself the way you would speak to a small, frightened child. Because there is a small, frightened child inside you. That child never left. That child is still waiting for someone to speak to them with kindness. When you catch yourself in self-hatred, in self-criticism, in that harsh internal voice that has been running your whole life, pause, place your hand on your heart, and say quietly, "Sweetheart, it is okay. You are safe now. I am here. This may feel awkward. It may feel foolish. Do it anyway." Because that child has been waiting a lifetime to hear those words from you. The third step is to feel the feelings you were not allowed to feel. Grief, rage, longing, terror, tenderness, whatever you were told was too much, too dramatic, too inconvenient. Let yourself feel it now. Not to indulge it, to honor it, to finally give it a witness. You can cry in your car. You can shake in your bathroom. You can scream into a pillow. You can write letters you will never send. Every feeling you were not allowed to feel as a child is still waiting to be felt. And every feeling that is finally felt loses its grip on your unconscious. The fourth step is to reclaim your body as your home, not your enemy. For a lifetime, your body has been treated as something to control, to fix, to shrink, to hide, to push through, to override. Begin gently to treat it as sacred ground. Place your hand on your chest and breathe. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice where you hold tension, and instead of judging it, ask it kindly, "What are you holding from me?" Your body is not your enemy. Your body is the loyal witness of your entire life. It has been carrying what no one else could. Thank it. Soften with it. Come back into it slowly, one breath at a time. The fifth step is to stop performing for love and start receiving love just for existing. This is one of the hardest steps because your entire nervous system is wired to earn. Practice in small ways, receiving without performing. Let someone give you a compliment and simply say thank you without deflecting. Let someone care for you without immediately caring back. Sit in the discomfort of being loved for who you are, not for what you do. This is how you slowly rewrite the old contract. You are not lovable because you are useful. You are lovable because you exist. The sixth step is to choose one relationship where you will be more real than likable. You do not need to become fully honest with everyone in your life all at once. Choose one safe person, and with them, practice one sentence more of truth than you would normally speak. Actually, I felt hurt. Actually, I need more time. Actually, I do not agree. Actually, I love you and I am afraid. Truth in one safe relationship begins to melt the ice in all of them. The real you needs to be spoken into existence, slowly, in the presence of another human being who can hold it. The seventh step is to make one small daily choice that belongs only to you. Not to your parents, not to your partner, not to your children, not to society, not to who you used to be. To you. Choose one thing every day that is purely for the real you. What you eat, what you wear, what you read, where you walk, how you spend 10 minutes of your evening. These small choices, done daily, are how the exiled self slowly comes back into the room. This is how you tell your unconscious, "I am here now. I am no longer abandoning you. I am building a life in which you are welcome." If you've made it this far, something in you is already different. You are not the same person who pressed play. Something in you has been named. Something in you has been seen. Something in you has begun to soften. I want you to mark this moment. Go to the comments and type 11. 11 is the number of the threshold. It means you are standing at the doorway between the old story and the new one, between the lie that something is wrong with you and the truth that you are becoming who you always were. Type 11 to declare, "I'm ready to cross. I'm ready to stop believing the wound. I'm ready to come home to myself." And if you wish, beneath 11, write one sentence. What is one thing you're ready to stop believing about yourself today? Let your nervous system witness your own decision. Let the frequency field hold your commitment. Now hear me carefully, because this is what I want you to carry with you long after this video ends. You were never the problem. You were the child who had to make sense of a world that did not know how to hold you. And you did it in the only way a small human being can. You blamed yourself so you could keep loving the people you needed. That was not a flaw. That was love. Tragic, unnecessary, self-abandoning love, but love. And now, as an adult, you can finally give that love back to yourself. You can be the parent you never had. You can be the witness you always needed. You can be the safe presence that meets your own fear, your own grief, your own longing without turning away. There is nothing wrong with you. There has never been anything wrong with you. What you've been calling wrongness is your sensitivity, your depth, your capacity to feel, your refusal to numb, your ancient knowing that the way you retreated did not match the truth of who you are. What you've been calling wrongness is actually the intelligence of your soul, refusing to fully accept the lie. You were not too much. You were not too little. You were not too sensitive. You were not too needy. You were not too intense. You were not too quiet. You were not too anything. You were a child in a world that did not know how to meet you. And now you are an adult in a moment where you can finally meet yourself. That meeting is the beginning of everything. Every relationship in your future life will be shaped by whether you meet yourself now. Every choice you make from this day forward will carry a different weight because you will be making it from wholeness, not from the wound. Every morning you wake up, you will have a choice to believe the ancient lie or to return to the older truth. And each time you choose the truth, even in the smallest way, you're healing not only yourself, you're healing the lineage that came before you. You're freeing the generations that come after you. You're participating in something far larger than your own private pain. You came here to become whole, not to become perfect, not to become successful, not to become admired, whole. And the world does not need one more perfect performance. The world needs one more human being who's finally willing to be real. That human being is you. So return. Return to your breath. Return to your body. Return to the feelings you have exiled. Return to the child you left behind. Return to the truth that has been waiting patiently for you your entire life. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing has ever been wrong with you. You were always whole. And as you take this next breath, this first small step back toward the being you truly are, hold this truth in your heart, not as a quote, not as a slogan, but as the compass by which you will now live every remaining day of your life. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are.